So today we are looking at Mosquito Dance by Ludwig Mendelssohn. Not the Mendelssohn we usually talk about, but same last name. And we are going to start with these 4-note pizzicati chords. And the first one is G major. So we start with one sharp in the key signature, G major. And we're going to play a B on the A string and then the G here on the E string. And that's the G major chord. And the next chord, everything moves over a string. So the second finger stays on the E and also adds the A string. And then the first finger moves to the D string. And that is a C major chord. So in this introductory section, we're going to have a kind of introduction to some chords. So that is the G, we have the C, that's a fifth higher, we have the G, the C, so 1, 5, 4, 1 and 4. G is the 1 chord, and then C is the 4 chord, because G, A, B, C. And then we're going to have a 5-7 chord. What does that mean? That means that we have the notes of the 5 chord, which is D, but we're also going to add the 7th note of the D scale, which is C natural. Okay, so here are your chord fingers. You have the G, G, C, C, G, C, C, G, C, C, and then to play the D7 chord, we're going to put 1 on F sharp and cross over 2 really tight on the C. Okay? And something tricky about these chords is that since we're playing all 4 strings, you can't let one of these fingers get over onto the open string. All right, so let's talk about what your right hand's going to do, because we could play the chords here and we could go like this in the way that your beginning chords are taught here, where you pluck across like that. And you can do it that way, okay? I think that it will be more resonant and easier, sound better and be easier if we don't hold, the camera's not in the right place for me, if we don't hold the fingerboard here. So let's put our our hand on the bow, our normal bow hold. And then we're going to just stick the finger out here. And that way, we can play it like a harp. Like if you were playing a harp, you strum the strings like that. Okay? So if you're getting a sound like too soft, or you're not getting all the strings, think of dragging your finger across on the bottom, on the fingerboard. Okay? So here's the first part. We have the G chord, second chord. I made a mistake with the rhythm. Sorry. Once again, beginning. Switch. Again. That's the pizzicato introduction part. Since your hand is already on the bow, in the bow hold, then you're ready to go for the arco section next. And we have a key change. So now we are in D major, and we're doing some little scale things. Do this in the upper half of your bow so that you start with a kind of a square elbow and then opening that way. That's a good place for you to move fast. When we use a big lever, which is like at the frog, we use the whole bow at the very tip, goes the other way a little bit. The big levers take more time to move. So to go faster, we're gonna just use that smaller lever. The last note of this section is a chord, and it's played here, 3 on the A and a high 2 on the D string right next to it. So listen to get that well in tune. Then we key change back to G major, and we have the same pizzicato thing that we had at the beginning. Now we come to another key change, and this is at measure 25. At measure 25, we have nothing in the key signature. So that's like a C major. And we're going to be in third position. So make sure you start this one third position on the G. And I'm also demonstrating the dynamics. Once you feel confident that you know where everything goes, then you can start putting those dynamics in as well. Right here we go to first position. Okay, so that's the place where you go to first, and now we're in first, and this is marked as a double bar. I'm not really sure why. There's no key change or anything here, but you are going to lift your bow and go from piano at the end of that decrescendo to a subito forte. Okay, so let's talk about this section. It has a couple little fussy things in it. So, first of all, when you're here, stay on the A string and use a fourth finger. And then we get to measure 35, where there's some little things marked on there. And here's one, the 3, because we don't have time in this one scenario to hop our finger over. Typically, I do want you hopping the finger instead of putting it on 2 strings. But since we don't have time, we're going to do it like a double stop by putting the finger in between the strings. So my finger's in between the strings. It's still curved. It still has good posture. It's just in between strings instead of on one or the other. It's right in between. And then I'm going to adjust my elbow angle here so that both strings are getting the right amount of weight that they could be played at the same time. So when I get here, when I first put it down, I'm going to be putting it on the 2 strings. That's something that takes practice, so be patient with yourself. There's another thing marked in here, augmented fourth. And that is because you have a low 1 F natural followed by a regular 4 B. So it's all of your fingers spaced in whole steps will get you that interval in tune. And that is all I need to explain in that section. Then we have the same as before. Is there anything different here? Nothing different. And then we're at the da capo. So back to the beginning, keeping this I think this is a new hand position for you for pizzicato. 4-string. Sorry, now I'm worried I'm going to make that same mistake I made before. Poco ritardando, and that is your fine. So that's the whole piece. I think you could probably learn this in 1 week, as long as you are feeling up to it. Happy practicing.